always get stuck in the Charlotte airport. And I was delayed, of course, and I took my 29-slide presentation and I said, I don't want to do this. So instead I sat down and I wrote a letter to you all. It's not your typical presentation, but I do think it's important. It's very vulnerable, and there's things in this that I've never told anybody. So I'm very nervous right now. I do a lot of presenting, and I don't think I have been this nervous since the first time I presented. And the first time I presented was on cardiac arrests in the pre-hospital setting and working on scene. So it was a topic that was not intense. So it's probably not going to take up the full time. I honestly don't know, because I sat down and I wrote it, and I didn't time it out. I'm going to try not to be emotional. There's nothing revolutionary in here, but it's honest and it's real. And I think that we all deserve that. So let's do it. Dear first responder, I know what you look like when you're okay. You look composed, capable, professional, efficient. You move with purpose, you make decisions quickly, you hold pressure without shaking. People trust you. They trust you with airways, with hemorrhage, with life and death. And somewhere along the way, you started believing that meant you weren't allowed to fall apart. I know how tired you are. Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes. The kind of tired that settles in your bones. The kind that comes with carrying things you never really put down. The call you don't talk about. The moment you knew the outcome before anyone said it out loud. You told yourself you were fine. Because that's what we do. We clear the call. We restock the truck. We move on. I know the loneliness that comes with being the strong one. The one everyone else leans on. The one who keeps the room calm. The one who doesn't flinch. The one who checks on the strong one. And sometimes the strong one doesn't know how to ask for help. I need you to know something before I tell you one of the chapters in my story. You are not weak. Sorry.
Take your time.
Thank you. You are not weak for feeling the weight of this job. You are not dramatic for being changed by what you've seen. You are not broken because your nervous system adapted to survive. You are human. And humans were never designed to carry trauma alone. Tonight, I'm not here to impress you. I'm not here to give you a motivational speech. I'm here because twice in my life, I almost became a statistic in this profession. And if someone had spoken honestly in a room like this, when I was sitting where you are, it might have changed everything. So this is not a keynote. This is a love letter to you. A conversation we should have had a long time ago. If you are high functioning and exhausted, if you are leading while bleeding, if you are staying silent because you think strength requires it, this is for you. Let's talk about isolation. Let's talk about connection. Let's talk about why staying alive is not weakness. It is the bravest thing you will ever do. When people introduce me, they list accomplishments. I'm a flight medic. I'm the president of a state association of EMS providers. I'm an educator, an author, a content creator. I built platforms, I've led teams, I've spoken on stages like this one. I believe in justice, I believe in doing the right thing even when it's inconvenient, especially when it's inconvenient. I'm married to a paramedic, and EMS isn't just my job. It's the language of my life. It's the rhythm of my marriage. It's the culture I grew up professionally inside of. It's the people I love. And twice in my life, I was absolutely certain I was going to end my own life. The most dangerous thing about suicidal ideation in high-functioning people is that we still show up to work. We still intubate the patient, we still teach the student, we precept, we sit in meetings and talk about policy. We still smile in photos, we make the TikTok video. We still win awards, and what no one knows is underneath it all, we're fighting for our lives. In EMS, we reward the strong ones, the calm ones, the ones that don't flinch, the ones that don't cry. We promote composure. We admire what we believe resilience is. We trust the medic who looks steady, no matter what the scene looks like. I was that medic. High performer, high standards, high integrity. If something was wrong, I spoke up. If someone was mistreated, I defended them. If there was an injustice, I pushed against it. I believed leadership meant protecting people, even when it costs you something. But leadership in a broken system can be profoundly lonely. When you are justice-oriented, as most of you are in this field, you often become inconvenient. When you challenge systems, when you disrupt comfort, when you refuse to look away, you make other people uncomfortable. Over time, inconvenience turns into isolated, and isolated becomes dangerous. Because humans, we are not built for isolation. We talk about trauma in terms of what we see, the pediatric arrest or the MVA or the overdoses or the bad outcomes, but we don't talk enough about relational trauma. We don't talk enough about the nervous system's need for belonging. Connection is not a luxury. It's biology. When we feel safe with another human being, our heart rate slows, our cortisol drops, our breathing changes. The vagus nerve responds to tone of voice, to eye contact, to presence. Co-regulation is not a buzzword. I just lost where it was. Co-regulation is not a buzzword. It's a survival mechanism. When we are distressed, we are designed to reach for each other. When that reach goes unanswered, the brain interprets it as a threat. Isolation activates the same regions of the brain as physical pain. Social rejection is not metaphorically painful, it is neurologically painful. Belonging is not soft, it is survival. And EMS culture unintentionally erodes belonging while we stand shoulder to shoulder on scenes. We pride ourselves on independence. We say, handle your business. We equate vulnerability with incompetence. We bond over dark humor, but we rarely risk being seen without our armor. The first time I tried to end my life, I didn't look unstable. I looked accomplished. I was functioning. That's what high-functioning depression looks like. You achieve, you perform, you show up, and quietly, you're unraveling. I did all the things. I got sober, I went to therapy, I saw a psychiatrist regularly, I took the medication. I did what we tell our patients to do. I improved in measurable ways. But healing is different from improving. Healing requires safety. And at that time, I still didn't feel safe inside my own nervous system. Then, a fellow first responder, a friend, a roommate, someone I loved more than most, someone who wore the same uniform as me, died by suicide. That changed something in me. It stopped feeling abstract. It stopped feeling like weakness, and it started feeling like exposure. Like this job carries something invisible that we don't talk about enough. I remember thinking, if it took him, why not me? And I went back to work after the funeral that morning, because that's what we do.
Come on.
Thank you.
It's okay.
That is so deep.
It's okay.
I didn't think it was going to be this hard. Because that's what we do. We return to shift. We say, I'm good. And we run the calls. Thank you. We don't slow down. In fact, we usually speed up. Trauma compounds in silence, though. And I had some of the worst calls of my career during that season. The kind that replayed when the house was quiet. The kind that follow you into your sleep if you're getting any at all. I was precepting a paramedic student, teaching them critical thinking, airway management, scene command, and then going home the next morning fighting intrusive thoughts that were no longer chaotic. They were calm, and that calm scared me. It wasn't emotional chaos, it was logical detachment, a quiet narrative that maybe everyone would be better off without me, that maybe I was the problem. And trauma narrows perception. It convinces you that your removal is a solution, but that narrative isn't truth. It's isolation speaking through a dysregulated nervous system. My psychiatrist looked at me one day and told me I needed more than she could provide. She recommended hospitalization. We settled on a partial hospitalization program. 3 months, every weekday, group therapy, trauma processing, and a lot of tears that I forgot I could cry. I felt embarrassed. I felt shame. I was a leader, a paramedic, a president, and now I was sitting in a room learning about nervous system regulation. But something happened there. I saw other high-functioning professionals sitting in the same chairs. Attorneys, executives, songwriters, parents. People who looked competent and successful and steady. And they were saying out loud the same things that I had whispered inside my own head. I'm not okay. I can't sleep. I thought I was the only one. Connection disrupts shame. Shame thrives in secrecy. When you speak your pain in a room that does not recoil, something is able to recalibrate in your brain. You are not uniquely broken. You are injured. I was diagnosed with PTSD after I had insisted for years I couldn't possibly be traumatized. And that is exactly what I said in every therapy session. I could not possibly be traumatized. And in that moment, instead of feeling defective, it actually sunk in, and I felt named. There is a power in naming. There is a relief in understanding that your nervous system adapted to survive. So I took FMLA, and I chose to fight for my life. And while I was in treatment, while I was actively trying to stay alive, I was fired. No explanation, no conversation, no opportunity no opportunity to speak. I walked into work one shift, and I was immediately terminated before I even clocked in. My partner, my best friend, blindsided. Everyone I loved was on that shift, even my husband. And while everyone was at work, in that moment, I was cut off. The pain wasn't just job loss, it was belonging loss. It was a relationship rupture. It was institutional betrayal. When the system you trusted for stability becomes the source of harm, your nervous system fractures. It isn't just anger, it was total disorientation. You question your value, you question your memory, you question your worth, you question whether you imagined the connection you had thought you had. I went home that day without the uniform that had structured my life, without the people I had built my entire adulthood with over the last 7 years, and I still had to choose to survive that night alone. Isolation after betrayal is dangerous because you're not only hurting now, you are untethered. And this is where connection becomes life-saving. Research consistently shows that perceived social support is one of the strongest protective factors against suicide. Not performance, not grit, not titles, connection. Even one safe person dramatically lowers risk. Loneliness, in fact, increases mortality at rates comparable to smoking. Chronic disconnection impacts immune function, inflammation, and cardiovascular health. We are biologically wired for attachment. We regulate each other, for better or for worse. When someone says, "I'm here," and means it, your nervous system settles. When someone stays instead of withdraws, your brain quiets. When someone sees you and doesn't flinch, your shame loses oxygen. I had a few people who stayed. My husband, my best friends, my therapist, my psychiatrist. Not hundreds, a few. And that was enough. For years, I carried the phrase, "good guys don't win," because I believed integrity costs you everything, and sometimes it does. Sometimes courage isolates you. Sometimes doing the right thing is expensive. But all along, I had misunderstood winning. Winning is not keeping a title. Winning is not keeping your life identical to the day before. Winning is winning is learning how to regulate your nervous system instead of white knuckling through it. Winning is choosing therapy over pride. Winning is building new connection when old connection fractures. Winning is staying alive long enough to redefine success. Success used to mean promotion, prestige, and performance. Now it means sustainability, boundaries, honesty, and peace. If you're sitting here tonight, high functioning and exhausted, if you are leading while bleeding, if you are staying in a place that is slowly killing you because you think loyalty is strength, please hear me. Isolation lies. It tells you you're alone. It tells you that your absence would relieve others. It tells you that needing help is weakness. That is not truth. That is a nervous system seeking relief without connection. Reach for someone. And if someone reaches for you, stay. You do not have to fix them. You do not have to solve them. Presence regulates, and being seen heals. I am still here, not because it was easy, not because it was fair, but because connection interrupted isolation, because a psychiatrist insisted on more help, because a few people did not walk away. Good guys don't win if winning means status, but if winning means integrity, if winning means survival, if winning means building connections instead of dying in silence, then good guys win, just differently. And staying alive was the most radical victory of my life. You are not weak for needing help. You are human, and humans survive together. I want to end this letter with responsibility, because my story is not unique, and that should be the most unsettling part of all. In every room I speak in, there are people who look strong, but are barely holding it together. There are leaders who are exhausted, but feel too visible to admit it. There are medics who have not cried in years because they don't know how to start. I was one of those. And there are students who think they have to become emotionally numb to survive this profession. And there are people who have already decided that one day soon, they are going to be done. Not because they are weak, but because they feel alone. But remember, isolation lies. It tells you that your absence would simplify things. It tells you that your pain is inconvenient. It tells you that you are the only one struggling. And that's not the truth. That is what happens when connection is missing. So here's what I know now on the other side of surviving. We do not need stronger first responders. We need more connected ones. We do not need more stoicism. We need more honesty. We do not need more silence. We need more willing people to stay in uncomfortable conversations. If you are in leadership, your job is not just managing performance. Your job is to protect belonging. That is not their failure, that is a culture failure, and culture can change. You change it by modeling it. You change it by going first. You change it by saying, that call affected me too. You change it by checking on the strong ones. You change it by staying when someone admits they're struggling. Because someone stayed for me. And that is why I'm here. Not because I'm tougher than anyone else. Not because I'm more resilient, but because connection interrupted my isolation.
Thank you for coming to work today.
Thank you guys. Thank you. There's just a little bit more. Just a little bit. Okay. Like I said, because someone interrupted my isolation. Because someone refused to let me disappear quietly. For years, I believed good guys didn't win. Because integrity cost me. Because doing the right thing hurt. Because courage isolated me. But I was wrong about what winning meant. Winning is not a badge. Winning is not a title. Winning is not the applause. Even though it does feel good. Winning is walking through hell and deciding to stay alive. Winning is choosing connection over pride. Winning is turning survival into advocacy. Winning is standing in front of a room like this and telling the truth so someone else doesn't have to almost die before they ask for help. I am still here, and that is not a small thing. That is defiance, that is courage, and that is victory.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. And if you are breathing in this room tonight, that means your story is not finished either. So when you leave here, call someone, text someone, check on the strong one. Build belonging where you lead, and interrupt the isolation when you see it. And if you are the one barely holding on, stay. Please stay. Your absence would not simplify this world. It would not make it a better place. It would fracture it. Good guys don't win if winning means status, but if winning means integrity, if it means survival, if it means protecting the next generation from silence, then good guys win. They just win differently. And tonight we decide that staying alive is the most radical victory there is. Thank you.